Buongiorno, buon pomeriggio, and buona sera, Lazio world. Welcome to your instant reaction pod. I'm your co-host, Sean McIntosh, joined by Caleb Adams, here to not so much celebrate our 125th anniversary, but commiserate and review Lazio Como. Caleb, my friend, ooh, how you feeling after 90 plus minutes of that one?
Man, I feel like crap. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like crap.
Yeah, not a fun one. Yeah, it should have been a pretty momentous occasion. You're playing a Como side, which look, I told you a couple weeks ago that don't want to get caught sleeping. Como's a dangerous team. I mean, they're a team with some real talent, a team with a ton of ambition, and given kind of where we were in terms of players available, this one had all the makings of a really really tough match. But let's dive right in where we always do. We'll start with the starting 11 that I think it's really worth talking about because. Some changes, not changes that Marco Baroni probably wanted to make. Of course, changes that he was forced to make given the squad at his disposal. So you've got Provedel, a center back duo of Gigot and Romagnoli for this one. Your left back is Pellegrini. On the right, you've got Lazzari. And then you've got Rovella Guendouzi manning the middle. And you're attacking core is on the left side, kind of a surprise, Dele Bashiru playing in place of Zaccagni. You've got up top Dia sitting behind him. You've got Chauna, and to the right, Isaacson. I guess, Caleb, get real quick just to get your thoughts. Like, where was your head at when you saw that starting 11 in terms of confidence?
Honestly, I felt fine. I felt good. I didn't know Bashir was going to be left wing, though. I fully expected it to be sort of a three-man midfield again, Shauna out wide. But it was Shauna more playing as that sort of second striker in this game. But I felt like I looked at the team and I was like, we can win this. Like, we can. This is still a winnable game. We're at home. It may be tougher than usual. But for me, it was okay. This is good. This is what we can put out. Like, this is good enough to get something out of this game.
Fair enough. I had my concerns, but look, Como came out very, very quick. 4 minutes in, Nico Paz, their star boy, player from Real Madrid, has got a ton of hype behind him, has played very, very well in Serie A, misses I don't want to call it a sitter. He had some work to do, but tries to chip Provedel, completely gets it wrong. 6-minute mark, another Como chance, free kick, a header that Provedel gets a touch on, ends up hitting the bar. Another dangerous corner a couple minutes after that, where Nico Paz has another shot that just goes wide, and it's looking like Como, the much more dangerous side. 34-minute mark though, Dia, just an absolutely wonderful job by him to cook his defender, create the space, then slot it away nicely to give Lazio the 1-0 lead. You start to think at that point, maybe Lazio would wake up, take control of this one. We would go on to ride our way to 3 points and celebrate with a Curva, who had just a beautiful, beautiful choreography display prior to the match. But you start to see Lazio lose their heads. 58th minute, well, shortly before that, around the 55th minute or so, Pellegrini really putting the side in a dangerous position, lucky to escape a second yellow, only for the ref to, what I'll flat out say was a makeup call by giving Chauna his second yellow, sees red because of that, and then you've got, 20 minutes or so after, 72nd minute, Cutrone, simple header for him. He is completely unmarked. We'll talk about that, but it's level at that point. And then we have our moment to kind of change everything. 80th minute, Guendouzi finds himself with the ball at his feet, and what should have been a very very simple goal, made a little bit more out of it, completely muffs it. We can talk about that one, but that was essentially Lazio's last real chance of the match. This ends 1-1 nil. 1-1. We are obviously looking at this as 2 drop points. Caleb, give me your 3 words or less to describe this match.
My 3 words are going to be inexperience and composure. Inexperience in composure. I think that you mentioned losing our heads is exactly what happened. I do love the aggro and aggressiveness that Baroni has brought to the team. However, a style like this has always been more risky and averse to yellows and stuff like this. And when you have a younger core of players, like in a game like this, we have to keep in mind that Rovella, Bashiru, Shauna, Isaacson are still players that it's one thing. This is one thing that I don't think people talk about enough is, yes, there's experience in terms of professional minutes played, but there's also a different kind of experience when it comes to playing for a team like Lazio, in my opinion, right? Like, you may play some team, Shauna played, nearly 30 games last season in Serie A. But you look at him and it's like, man, he's played, he's a little rough around the edges, but there's a different sort of expectation and pressure and stuff when it comes to a team like Lazio. And I think that I think the guys are feeling a bit of the pressure now, right? There's been it's been a mixed bag of a month here, of the last month. Points are starting to become incredibly valuable. We're wanting to keep a top 4 spot. I think that pressure is being felt by the players and Baroni. And when you have a team that's inexperienced like this, both playing together, both at this stage, even guys like Tati who are a little bit older, Ian Dia, they don't understand this sort of pressure. This is a different kind of pressure for them. I think that's really a big component of why we're losing our head. Because, I could have just said losing our head. Yeah, but I think it's the inexperienced part of it. And I like to think that it's going to get better. But that's frankly what I thought it was today. We just lost our head. And
Yeah.
I would say that's across the season too, because I think of other performances where we're up a goal. And again, we concede a goal to concede a draw, right? We've dropped points this year already that's like deja vu. I get like PTSD. When we went down a guy and we were up a goal, I was just PTSD. I thought of the Juve game. I thought of these other games we played this year, and it's not fun, but I hope we learn from it because, again, we're starting to get to the point of the season where we're starting to play opponents for the second time, and I hope to see some improvements there in the second time around.
Yeah, my 3 words, and I'll shift it. I did have lose their heads, but emotional immaturity. It's a young group. They don't necessarily understand. You like to see some of the fight and tenacity, but they pick and choose some of the wrong moments to either kind of flex their muscles.
Yeah.
When it's Pellegrini. We were texting about it. It's like, okay, kick the ball out. This isn't a moment to kind of prove yourself and muscle somebody. Nuno Tavares does it quite often, right? Where he's kind of maybe feeling himself and, just makes the wrong move. You think back to Chauna trying to nutmeg somebody in the box, a couple matches ago. And, we see these moments where, we don't have that calming presence that, tells guys just to chill out. Like, let's get back to some fundamentals. And they seem to, and you talk about the lack of experience. I mean, that goes on Baroni too, and
100%. Good point.
He hasn't seen before, or been in a space where, like, you're juggling multiple competitions, you're juggling some pressure. You're the team that's supposed to win this one. You're not managing the side that's just got to scratch and claw their way. Like, there is some pressure to this, and I think we can probably question some of Baroni. Not, I think some of the questions are warranted right now when you think of this run of fixtures. I mean, 1 win in our last 5 matches, Caleb. Like, how? I guess, what are you seeing some cracks with Baroni?
I think we're seeing cracks in the team itself. I think where we remember we set an issue with this team. Hey, we're probably gonna be in like those 6, 7 sort of spots. Anything above six, like fifth would be a really good finish. We that was our predictions early on in the season. We're gonna be fighting. We're gonna be fifth through seventh. Fifth would be like best case scenario. But only we punched above our weight for quite a while now. We're sitting top four. And I think the cracks in the squad quality and depth, particularly in addition to the inexperience of handling these high pressure moments from both Baroni and the squad itself, on top of the squad only really playing together. This is the first time our first 11, maybe aside from the back line, aside from that, Ravella, Guendouzi, yeah, they have some experience together, but it was sort of mixed playing time last year. I think we're seeing all that stuff sort of accumulate now, right? I think that we've gone away and we've been able to hide some of those flaws and cracks that were always there, but eventually they always come out.
Yeah, I don't know. Baroni, rightfully so, ton of praise. Now it's when, I mean, honestly, this is when, particularly as a Lazio manager, you kind of earn your keep. It is in those times of difficulty, and I don't think we could have. We probably did, wrongfully so, like expected this high level of play throughout the season. But I do think there were some moments, particularly in this match, where you got to question like the substitutions, and when they happened, you started to see some of these players kind of losing their heads, and that's when you need Baroni to either be out there a little bit more visible, whether it's taking the Fabregas approach. I mean, you saw Fabregas was out there like going nuts, right, running down the tunnel. I think he's a big reason why they had that makeup call on Shauna. He was getting in the ref's ear on that one. But I think some of those substitutions probably should have happened a little bit sooner, because you've got somebody like Pellegrini who is on the verge and has already earned a yellow, probably should have been taken out earlier. Same for Chauna, and you
Yeah,
see
but
Chauna.
to be fair on those, they got the yellows super early on. Like you just don't take them. You can't just take them off at the half.
No, well, I mean, maybe
Well,
not.
you take them off to put on Basic.
No, I mean, you put in Nuno in earlier,
I mean that's fair. I mean that's fine,
right?
but
Like
it
we're
just
not really producing a ton. We're limited in how many chances we have. You see that maybe Pellegrini is kind of riding on the edge.
no.
Like,
But my argument to that real quick is like I thought we were better team going to the half. I felt quite comfortable in the game. Like we started bad, but at the half I was like we sort of stopped the bleeding initially. Como looked like they were going to score early. They didn't really see much after that. I felt comfortable personally.
it
I was like,
felt
okay,
fine, but it wasn't enough of a swing. Like early on, we were getting dominated. I mean,
we were.
Como was the better side. They lose Nico Paz. All of a sudden, you see it kind of change in Lazio's favor, but not enough. It wasn't like we all of a sudden went on the front foot and we're just like dominating in waves. Like we got a goal, which was largely due to individual effort on Diaz's part. And then it was like fine. So you kind of hope we come out there. So then, if not a substitution, I still have to question Baroni, because then what do we do at halftime? He didn't get him ready. Like we didn't come out of half like looking much better. Like we came out and lost our heads and lost our minds. So whether it's not a substitution, then whatever he did to prepare or not prepare them at halftime, I got to question it a little bit that we didn't use that break to really settle things down and come out playing better. Even, I mean, yeah, obviously a lot of these stats are going to be impacted by the red, but in terms of possession, like we were getting dominated on the ball prior to the red, but 64% possession to Lazio's 36. Como with an expected goals of 1.77 to 0.47 with Lazio. 17 shots from Como, 12 Lazio, both 4 shots on target. Como with 2 big chances missed. Lazio with 1 big chance missed, which I'm assuming it's the Guendouzi one. Como with double the amount of accurate passes we had, over 400 to our 203, just on the ball in attack. Like we were just real, like stale. I don't know. Like if not Baroni, like what do you? Is it then? Do you think the biggest thing is just like lack of quality in the players?
I think for this particular game, like the red came at the 50th minute. It's so difficult to look at the stats. It's so difficult to look at. Like okay, we allowed 5 minutes. Like we're basing Baroni's halftime adjustments on 5 minutes of play. I would love to have seen right. Okay, in the 70th minute, how's Lazio looking? Are we up a goal at that point? Are we tied at 11v11? Right. It's tough for me. It's tough for me to blame much of this on Baroni when your guy gets a red card in the 50th minute. And again, like it's just I think it goes back to inexperience in the players. It's showing 100%. There's questionable call on him. He rushes in, tries to win the ball, arrives a little bit late. Okay, maybe there's a slight touch there. But he's going at speed, so I'm sure that Moreno sold it a little bit too. I don't doubt
Yeah,
that
for
at
sure.
all. Moreno's a veteran; he knows how it is. He's also Spanish. That's what they do. But my thing is like a player like there's certain players that understand this. If Zakani's out there, he presses too a lot, but Zakani's very intelligent in his pressing, right? He understands, okay, when I need to stop closing down, when do I need to press? Whereas guys like Shauna Saxon are just kind of like headless chickens running around
Yeah.
without thinking.
Yep.
Like Shauna is chasing that ball. He's not thinking about, I have a yellow. Even if I need to be more careful, maybe be a little less aggressive. I like the aggression from Shauna we're seeing that we didn't see in the beginning. However, I just think it genuinely just comes down, particularly this game, to these moments of just inexperience and just not recognize. And I understand the argument too of, okay, well, that's Baroni's job to sort of instill this in players.
Right.
I understand that. But I also think, like, at the end of the day, the player has to be accountable and has to execute. Your man. The coaches on the sideline. I mean, I'm sure. Maybe it's tough for me to really say, okay, this is 100%. This is Baroni. For me, it's just much more the fact that our players are inexperienced at this level with this kind of pressure.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, obviously, blame has to go around. The players are the ones on the pitch. So for me, I'm generally giving them the lion's share of the blame, and they weren't good, and they don't have that experience, and that's obviously on the club and on Lotito to now fix some of that. We talked about this time and time again, but today was really, really the proof in the pudding in terms of work that has to happen during this transfer market, because we had, again, two center backs. That's it. We had two center backs in our available lineup. We had more goalkeepers than midfielders. I mean, it's insane. I mean, to be a professional club that's sitting in a Champions League spot, to be left with this type of a squad at this point in January, it's absolutely insanity. And so we have to expect these types of results if we're going to run this type of a squad out here on
Yeah,
out. So
I think that's a good point to make real quick on that is I just think about we were shocked that we were able to balance so many competitions. We're still sitting on top in Europa, right? And I think it's like, okay, these guys are humans. We're now starting to see the human. We talked about, like, post January going to February, March. That is where the stamina and endurance. That's where we start seeing those crack. And it was a miracle that we were able to bounce all these competitions. But I think even some of that dumb to like, okay, Guendouzi has that shot. I do think the initial touch is off. I think, are you talking about the second one that he took? Because he tried going at it once, but that was the one I'm talking about that went behind him. But then he tried to readjust and then hit it again. He did shank that one.
yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. That
Okay,
second.
it's about this. Okay, yeah, 100%. So my thing is, so that's past the 80th minute. Guendouzi, who plays a buttload of minutes for us, ran his butt off this game. Like, is that where that endurance, is that where that tiredness comes into, where you don't have a midfielder to come in and be the one at the end of that shot, right? if Bashiru's coming in and has a chance like that, right? He's fresh. So I think that, like, to go back on your point, is this is where we're starting to see where the depth, I think, is really playing a part, because Guendouzi Ravella runs so much, and I do think that plays a factor in sort of those moments.
Yeah. No, I mean, for sure. You can't keep running them into the ground. But look, there has been an overall lack of kind of cohesion, and makes a little bit of sense when you've got guys not playing. I mean, our core of Tati, Zaccagni, and Gila are out for that. But I guess it's really disappointing, because you kind of hope that this was an opportunity for somebody to step up, and let's jump into man of the match, because that's, for me personally, it's a little bit tough, because I didn't see anybody really step up, aside from I'll throw in mine. Like, my man of the match was Dia, because again, in the moment you needed him to, like, he stepped up, made a really technically brilliant move to create that space and then slot it away. We talk about Tati all the time. This was kind of like your anti-Tati moment. Like, he's got that one clean chance. To me, it just goes to further my claims, and I know you agree, of just like, can we see Dia up top and Tati behind him? But
for real.
For me, my man of the match, Dia, because I thought he did his part and he did his job today. What about you?
I thought I'm gonna go Dele Bashiru. I also think I'm gonna go Dele Bashiru or Providel. I know Providel's sort of a weird shout, but I wanted to give
No,
Providel.
I'm glad you said that, because he was the second man I wanted to shout, particularly given how harsh a lot of Laziali, and I think I had him as my bidone last match, and I thought it was a really strong bounce back game from him, and without some of those saves, I thought we lose this one. So
Yeah, so I like Providel. I'm a public. I have a lot of issues with Providel, not just this season, but in general, and questions surrounding him. But I think his performances like this that kept us in the game. I thought his positioning on some of the goals was good to sort of push people off, make them uncomfortable. I thought he commanded the box really well. So I liked him. My choice was Bashiru, simply because of the players that actually looked like they were going to try to take the game to Como. It was Bashiru. I thought he had a lot of good moments of taking the ball, carrying it. For me, it's like, why is Bashiru the one, creating these best attacking moments? Not any Saxon, not Saxon had one decent moment in the transition, but it seems that Bashir was doing a lot of, like, at least trying to create stuff happening, causing some difficulties from the defenders, closely getting some shots off. I like his performance all around, playing out of position at left wing. I don't know why he's there. That's on Baroni. But anyways, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I don't think anyone was particularly spectacular.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know, just some malaise. It's really just disappointing, and you just, when we were riding so high, now you just think of this run of matches where it's really hard to see, like, even the likes of Rovella, right? Like, and maybe it is he's just getting tired, which is natural. Like, he just hasn't been as elite in 2 matches now, and so I don't know. It's, you hope that somehow we can pick it up. And again, like, we know, like, all right, this side wasn't supposed to compete for top 4. Our friend Patrick Bowman says it on here, like, we were never supposed to be in top 4. You're right.
That's a good point.
We were never supposed to be in top 4. However, I will say this, like, everything, like, you reset your expectations, because predictions are just that, predictions and pundits and whatever. But when we see a product and we get excited and we see the capabilities of this squad when they are running on all cylinders, then I think it is on the club to then act and shift timelines. So we talk about this Baroni project being, okay, it's start of a new project. Kind of, maybe it's 3 years before we see us become a Champions League side and start to see some consistencies. But I think you have to expedite that process. I think you see this squad now and you go, wow, it's actually better than what we thought. And if we give Baroni some tools, we got to be realistic. Like, you're not gonna, January windows are always tough. You're always gonna overpay. It's gonna be really, really difficult. I still I still think that we were in a poor position, and our flaws and our issues should have been addressed prior. We should never started the season with only 4 midfielders. So
100%.
one of them being Castrovilli, who has had a history of injury concerns. So that is on Lotito, and so, as much, I think you and I do a pretty good job of trying to be fair when it comes to Lotito. We are by no means anti-Lotito. I think the hate, for him is usually far exceeds anything from like rational. But as a professional side, like we entered the season with not enough midfielders, and now it has come to bite us in the ass. And we've said from the start we need another midfielder. We probably need another center back. And sure enough, this match, like, here we are in January. So I don't expect the likes of another Rovella or Guendouzi coming in. At this point, it's just get Baroni some bodies so that we don't have Basic on the bench as like somebody that might actually have to play for us. I think. But look, let's shift the focus. Who's your bidone?
I don't know. I mean, because of the red, I think it should be Shauna, even though I think it is a makeup call. But I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Shauna. I just think you have to be a little smarter when you're on a yellow period, and he's had moments like this already this season to make me think that this is not just a like he it's one thing if like you just like, man, you just got unlucky, like that sucks, unfortunate. But I think he's had moments, particularly on the defensive side of things, where he lacks composure and maturity. And is it harsh on someone who's like 20 years old? Yeah, probably. But you're on a Lazio team here. Like, there are different expectations and standards. And like, what did he do offensively in the game? I I can't think of one moment. I can't think of one offensive moment he had all game where I was like, "Hey, that's pretty good."
Yeah, he was. Man, what a disappointment. I mean, I was pretty excited about him as a player, what he's done at the youth level on the French national side. Obviously, some experience in this league, has had some moments. You see some of those moments too, but man, it's all up here with him. Like, it just doesn't seem to click. And always willing to give a player a full season before I really, really hammer them home. So,
Yeah.
I don't want to write him off. The other one is Pellegrini. Like, I thought he started off playing really, really well. I thought he had some fantastic defensive moments. I texted you. I was like, Pellegrini looks good today. But he's another one in that category of just like head sometimes not being in there in these moments. I go back to the match against Milan where he like reacted and got kind of like riled up by Pulisic, and he got a red card then, and it was like, oh man, a little bit unfair, like whatever, ref should have blown the whistle. But it's like, if he's just a little bit smarter and avoids it, kicks the ball out, we wouldn't have seen those issues. And today was just another moment just like that. Like, bro, just kick the ball out, and now you put yourself in a position, and then on top of it, you bring the man down. Like, let your defense do their jobs versus risking a red card with 50 more minutes to play in the match. Like, it's really, really comes down to some of these moments where, okay, it happened once last year. Oh, give it up to like inconsistent playing time and him trying to, showcase himself, but happens again, and you really just start to think that maybe he's not grasping in. He's reckless. I think, from a talent standpoint, I do think he can play. I think he is Serie A quality, and he's shown that. But like Chauna, maybe not all the way up there, that it's clicking for him. Am I being harsh when it comes to Pellegrini?
No, not at all. I think, and the thing is, Pellegrini has a lot shorter leash than someone like Shauna. Like you've been around, my guy. You should know better, right?
Yeah.
I think, we always wonder what coaches saw in him. Why couldn't he get playing time? I think he is a very up and down player. There's one thing to have ability and talent, which he does, but to be a professional at this level, your mental fortitude, consistency are far more important than that, right? You'll see some guys get more like a Marusic, and I know we give Marusic a lot of crap, but Marusic is generally more in the past, maybe not so much, that year and a half at the older age, but a more consistent, reliable player you can count on. Pellegrini, one game he can light it up, and one game he can single-handedly cost you it. That's like the reality of a Pellegrini, which is it's fine as a backup guy. You can get away with that. Him being a backup's great, but however, for a starter, again, you have to be mentally locked in. And a lot of guys that we had out there today are not starters. Shouldn't be starters.
Yeah. So we kind of look ahead, and we have a bit of a break, Caleb. We've got 9 full days between our next match, which is against Hellas Verona, a match that's now become absolutely a must win. A little bit of time where hopefully we get some players healthy. We know we will be seeing Tati, Zaccagni, and Gila back, which should automatically bring a ton of life experience, cool-headedness to this squad, particularly against Hellas. And then we're right into Europa, back again, January 23rd, Real Sociedad, and then we've got a really important match against Fiorentina, who you could say it's kind of more direct rival right now, in terms of like where we fit, not only in the table, but I think kind of just tiers of who we are as a team. Obviously, Juve also battling for that fourth spot, but I think they are just a little bit better of a team than we are, at least today. Maybe that's me just being bummed from these past 2 results.
Well, and I'll also add, like, the difference, right, between Juve are being rumored to be getting close to signing Araujo from Barcelona, center back there, who was brilliant, was a really good player for Uruguay. I mean, is a big miss for them in Copa America and the World Cups. He's a top player.
Yeah.
Juve coming in and grabbing themselves. They already have someone like Bremer. I know he's hurt, but being able to draw an Araujo from Barcelona, I mean, that's just a different game they're playing. It's a whole different market for a team like that. And they're who knows what we're doing in this window. But they're out here. They're signing starters of teams that are sitting top 4 around the world. So
we got some work to do, and now we've given up the advantage that we had on Fiorentina and Juve. They do have 2 matches in hand. Given they take care of business in those 2 matches, they would see themselves leap us. So important one against Verona. We're not starting 2025 off to a great foot, but let's hope for the best. We'll cover anything. We'll do an emergency pod if we need to on any signings. Hope to have a little bit more of a positive podcast in the coming days, and then certainly a week plus from now. But 125 years of up and down roller coaster, but of course, sempre forte.